What's up, everybody? We've got some brand new transmogs that ComSquish just announced earlier today. I'm sure many of you have already seen them. We got the Beast Rider, we got the Rakshasa, another Rakshasa transmog. We got the Undyne transmog. I'm not sure how many people are necessarily using these Undynes. Why do they need more transmogs? There's, I'm sure, other units that would appreciate transmogs more, but we have another Undyne transmog. We got Stringmaster transmogs, which kind of already look a little bit different than the String Masters already did, but, you know, String Master transmogs. Art Master transmogs, I think a lot of people are going to go for those Art Masters. A lot of people are going to go for those Beast Riders. I'm not entirely sure, though, on why we get Undyne and Rakshasa transmogs. I wish they made some different choices. I think they look nice. I just wish they made some different choices. By the way, guys, I'm sure you figured out that this is not pre-recorded because I have no face cam on. My face is all bandaged up and bloody and stuff like that. I don't want to subject you to that. I just wanted to talk about these. I wanted to talk about, and then this is, this is exactly what they are. Taking a break at the Eternity Valley. So is that a new, maybe that's a new building, the Eternity Valley, because they did actually put that in orange. I didn't really think about that until now. But yeah, I did want to talk a little bit about these. The next 2As, wanted to kind of speculate on the next 2As. I'll try to make this short. So you don't have to listen to me trying to talk through bandages. But yeah, we have the new 2As announced. Looks very cool, which we kind of briefly talked about in the other video. One of the things that I missed out, because I briefly glanced over this and talked a little bit about it, like, oh, she heals with her second skill, and oh, her third skill is a little bit different. Actually, it's different than I had initially mentioned. So the first one is just a little bit higher chance to do continuous damage right there. The second one ignores defense on both of these, right? Recovers the HP by 15% of the inflicted damage, which is, you know, we mentioned that in the first video when we saw it firsthand. But one of the things also is that their base stats, when they get Second Awakened, their base stats are going to be higher. So it's going to hit for more damage already, and then they may have an additional damage multiplier on top of that. So this is going to hit for quite a lot of ignored defense damage, and then also heal some on top of that. The Mystical Blood Transfusion, this was a skill that you actually use, right? Removes harmful effects of the ally target, evens the HP ratio of you and the ally target. After that, both monsters healed by 25% of their max HP. This is a passive now. So I didn't really mention too much about that before, but this is a passive. Every turn, it matches the HP ratio of the ally target with the worst HP situation and recovers the ally's target's HP and your HP by 10% each at the start of each turn. So it's kind of like a Molly a little bit. I mean, not quite like a Molly, but it is kind of like a Molly when every time she gets a turn, she's going to be healing whoever your squishiest unit is. So I just wanted to mention that. Then we also, oh, this is just another one. So I also speculated what I think some of the buffs would be. Some of them are going to get bigger buffs than other ones, but for the other Second Awakening units, for the other high elementals. So let's take a look at the ones that I think. I mean, I'm just trying to think of like where the logical direction would be for some of these units, right? So first one, Kali. Currently, she's got an amazing skill 3. She's speed buffs. She attack power buffs for the whole team. Invincibility on herself. Many of you guys have already used her. You already know what she does. Skill 2, ignore defense, which is fantastic. Ignore defense so strong. She's going to be even stronger with the higher base stats and potentially with, after she's Second Awakened, getting more skill ups for skill 2 to do additional not additional damage, but do more damage, right? So that could make her just do tremendous amount more damage, or it will make her do more damage. Potentially we're going to see small buffs on this, though. I don't think they're going to buff her too much because she's already so OP. Maybe a little heal on skill 2 like Shren, more continuous damage on skill 1 and increased base stats. I don't really think we're going to see too much. I saw some people thinking that she was going to also boost her attack bar of the team with skill 3. That would be crazy. I don't think they'll do that, but if they did do that, that would be absolute crazy. Don't get your hopes up for that, though. Don't get your hopes up, guys. I think it's going to be really small buffs on Kali because she's just so good. And she's going to be better because she's going to have better stats, right? That's one of the big things. Next one, Elena. She's not super... I mean, she's got the skill 2 freeze. She's got the skill... No, sorry, so the skill 2 ignore defense, the skill 3 freeze. 2-turn freeze is not bad, but she's not, like, super meta. Compared to Kali, Kali's just so much better than she is with the 2 buffs on her and invincibility, right? So currently we have skill 2, ignore defense. Skill 3 is a single target, 2-turn freeze. Terrible base HP. I mean, like 5,000 something, I think, is her base HP. It's really bad. Potentially, the skill 1 higher dot chance, all of them are going to have that, I think. They could go a little bit differently because, like, the Grim Reapers, they did a little bit different. Like, the light one has a different skill 1 than the other ones do, right? Because the light one can kill Miho or whatever. So they may go a different direction with that, but I think that probably likely that they'll do just additional continuous damage chance on skill 1 for all of them. We'll see if they change it to something else. But skill 2 maybe heal like Shren. I'm just figuring that that'll be like the easiest thing. All these ignore defense ones that have ignore defense skill 2, you can just stick a little heal on them, and that'll be the way that they buff this skill 2. Maybe, maybe not. It would be cool if they had some kind of like ignored invincibility, ignored all kinds of harmful effects, beneficial effects that mitigate damage or something like that. But I think it'll probably just be like a heal. Probably nothing too crazy. Because they're already going to hit for more damage anyway with these higher stats and additional multipliers. Skill 3 is where I think she's probably going to get the buff, though. The most noticeable buff is possibly strip into freeze. That would be cool. Just single target full strip into a 2-turn freeze would be pretty nasty. But then if you think about that, like, that would be so much better than the Water Fairy already, because the Water Fairy just has a 2-turn sleep. This would be a 2-turn freeze, and then she also does ignore defense, and she also does other stuff. Another option would be single target freeze, slow, and attack bar down, which could be another option. Just throwing out some ideas for what I think Elena might actually get. The ones that I think need or the ones that I know, because these units are already kind of usable, right? The ones that I know need a little bit more are the wind and the dark ones. So currently she's got a distribute HP recovery skill 2 that recovers 35% of HP on enemy death, which is not really that exciting. It just does damage, heal block, and if the enemy dies, it still needs a defense break. It doesn't ignore defense. But if it dies, then it recovers some HP. She's also very squishy too, so like Vampire doesn't work very great on her because she doesn't have enough HP to survive longer than getting like hit once maybe or twice. Is like really not that high base HP. So skill 3 attacks with one ally always crits, right? Which is I mean, she's a wind unit, always crits, attacks with an ally. There's just better stuff, right? You have Inugamis, you have Inugamis. And then where do you use her instead of Lucian, right? So the thing is, potentially skill 1 higher dot chance, higher base stats, which of course we mentioned before. Skill 2 could go through damage mitigation or death prevention effects. Like for example, against Triana or against Garrow, you're probably not going to take a wind high elemental into a Garrow, but just throwing that out there. Miho, Huadam, like something like that goes through the death prevention effects, kind of like what the fire BK does. And then skill 3 could be an attack power buff. So this is the way to buff skill 3. Could be a nice buff to skill 3 is it already attacks with an ally. If it buffed the attack power of 2 allies and herself, and then all 3 of those join together to attack, that would be a pretty crazy team up buff. Right, that would be similar to, I think it's the light homunculus, kind of what she does. So that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool to see for that 3rd skill. I don't know if they're going to go that crazy because then again, that's an attack power buff. But she does need something significant because she's kind of very crappy. So she's gonna get one of the more significant buffs. So those are just some ideas that I had for that. The next one, Jumaline. So I did a poll on YouTube, and the YouTube, what is it, the YouTube channel thing? Whatever. The YouTube channel thing. Community. YouTube community is the word I was looking for. And you guys were most excited about Kali. Second one you were most excited about was Jumaline, the dark one. You wanted to see what she's potentially gonna get. And again, these are just like my speculations. These are just like what I'm thinking of. This is nothing like from Com to us or anything. So don't get ahead of ourselves and like think, oh, this is exactly what it's gonna be. Like, no, I'm just thinking like where I would go with it, like what my thoughts are on things that they could get. Currently recovers HP skill 2 if the enemy dies, and also recovers HP skill 3 on critical hit and gives herself a crit buff, right? And then she's also got, well, they all have the crit leader skill. So it's really, she just does damage and then recovers HP a little bit. But she's, again, squishy. Like, all these girls are squishy. So, like, the vampire mechanics on squishy things don't really work that well. The vampire mechanics, the recovering HP, are better on, like, bruisers, right? So, again, I think potentially she could have some kind of ignore death prevention, anti-Triana, anti-Miho, anti-Huadam kind of thing, ignore damage mitigation buffs, so cut through invincibility, cut through defense buffs and shields and things like that, potentially give herself invincibility when it kills something, or maybe if it kills something, it can't be revived. I was also thinking, based on the fact that the Shren has a passive which will heal at the beginning of every turn, whoever your squishy monster that's taking the most damage is. I think this could be some kind of nice thing where, like, if she does damage, she has, like, a shield based on the amount of damage that she does. Could be nice for some of those newer dungeons in Dimension Hole. But just some thoughts there. Or she could even have some kind of team heal, which could help in some of those Dimension Hole farming levels where, like, you need dark units and there's not too many dark things that heal. That's one of the reasons that they brought in the Dark Vampire Lord. I actually talked to them specifically about this a long time ago. One of the reasons they brought in the Dark Vampire Lord as a healer is because he was going to be nice for a lot of the different places that people were currently struggling at that time in the game. So I apologize, by the way, that I'm so nasally. I'm just, like, all covered up in, like, bandages on my face, guys. So anyway, that's that. Those are just my thoughts on those. So this is another thing that I want to talk about, the next monsters that are going to get Second Awakened after this, because we did do, I don't think, did I save those? Oh man, I could have sworn I saved those. You know what, let me pop this over here. Yeah, this one. So this we did a year ago, and we figured out, this was actually Dark Sea. Figured out, and I also did, was it one of these? I did videos before speculating what the next Second Awakened monsters will be. I mean, it took a while to actually see the high elementals, but we were kind of right? So let's see, speculating based on that, one of the reasons that we made these guesses was because the places that you farm for the runes in the second dimension, the place that you farm for runes in the Dimension Hole, like, for example, this is Elunia. The units that you fight here for the rune farming in Elunia are also the units that you Second Awaken in the Elunia dungeon. So that we noticed that this was kind of a thing, right? All these units here are units that you fight against there, and also units that are Second Awakened in that same dimension. This, again, same thing. This, again, was like, oh, we speculate, like, okay, well then the high elementals are probably going to be next. And now that is confirmed that those were next. So then we go to the Corazon, and we see the same thing. We see Inugamis and we see Griffins. And those are all, this is the rune farming dungeon, but those were also the units that were Second Awakened in that dungeon, in Corazon as well. And then these two were also Second Awakened. So these ones just, keep going with that trend that the Garudas are most likely going to be Second Awakened at some point. Sooner rather than later. I don't know what order they're going to do them, but I would say that they are planning to Second Awaken the Garudas. So keep that in mind. Another one. Here's another one. We already have this guy Second Awakened. This is another Garuda. Again, very likely that we're going to see a Second Awakened Garuda coming out of Corazon Remains at some point. And then these are more Second Awakened stuff over there that are already in the same dungeon and are Second Awakened. So this is the Cliff of Harry, the Cliff of Harry Beastmen or whatever. So we see these units that no Second Awakenings on any of these units, and I believe that, again, judging by the same trend, we're going to see these guys being Second Awakened at some point in the future. I don't know, again, when. I think that these actually may be some of the next ones. Like, some of these guys might be the next ones. I think the next one is going to be through Lumel. Because we already saw a second, we already have 3 for Corazon. We already have 3 for Elunia now with the high elementals. So I think we're going to see a third one from the Lumel soon. So we're probably going to see either one of these is going to be the next one. This is again Lumel. And we're not going to see Second Awakenings for the 4 stars. I think they're just there because they're 4 stars. Watch, they're really Second Awakening. Also, this guy, pops in here at the end. So I'm curious if we might see a second awakened Bearman as well. I think it's a definite possibility. I think it's more likely that we see one of these, but I think it's a definite possibility that we see second awakened Bearmans also. So I would say, in my guess would be that one of the Lumel things, again, the Bearman, the Yeti, or the Harpoot is going to be the next second awakening unit after these high elementals. And then this is Dimension Cauldron. This is showing the things that you fight against. There are also things that you second awaken here. Again, things that you fight against are also things that you second awaken here, not including the 4 stars. And then these things as well. So I'm thinking that these are probably going to be, these Infernos are probably, and we already speculated, like I said. Was this it? Yeah, we already speculated this like a year ago, that the Infernos are probably going to be one of the second awakened units, one of the at some point, right? So when Cauldron came out, this kind of just verified that as well. So these are what I would guesstimate are going to be some of the sooner second awakened units in Summoner's War, right? So just wanted to let you guys know that, based on just logic and based on the trends that Comp to us is doing right now. These I went through, and I also I cut off some of that. These are gonna be my guesses for the next 2 dimensions. So the first one, I think we're gonna have a human dimension. I think we're gonna have a volcanic dimension. It's just, I was looking through all the units that I think might be viable second awakened units, and I'm like, this really feels like it's gonna be something along those lines, like a human medieval kind of dimension kind of thing for the next one, and then for the last one, like Volcano. Because Salamander, that's not even spelled right, that's Salamander. Salamander, Golem, Hellhound, Elemental, Imp, Lizard Man, all of those fit into like that volcanic kind of theme. And then the human dimension, Vagabond, Viking, Mystic Witch, Amazon, Bounty Hunter, those fit into that humanoid kind of theme. So those would be my guesses for the next second awakened dimensions in general. I don't know when these dimensions are going to actually be released, depending on what on how crazy they want to push with the Lost Centuria and the Chronicles. The more they work on those games, the less they will work on Summoner's War Sky Arena updates. So hopefully they'll work on Summoner's War Sky Arena updates more now that Lost Centuria is going to be out in a couple days. So we'll see, though. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just like, let's focus all our efforts on Lost Centuria, and then Sky Arena's like, yeah, okay, that's fun. Hooray. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on those. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry that I sound so nasally, but again, my face is all bandaged up and stuff like that from the surgery. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, this is not pre-recorded because I couldn't pre-record this one, right? So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you as always in the next one.